So, this is Occult Abyss, episode 3. We've got a very special guest, I have to say. He doesn't do album reviews. He does album cover reviews. You know, he kind of takes separating the art from the artist to a whole new level because he just reviews the album covers. I definitely like that. I don't know. We got Goniloc here. So yeah.
That's
How
true.
could you forget the end of year lists? It's
The end of
horrible.
year list, yes.
Yes.
Speaking of that, why don't we start off with that? Where is your most recent end of year list?
It's a skeleton in my Google Docs page. It's really funny, actually, just the way everything. Well, funny to me, not to anybody else. But it started last June, and I was like, you know what? What if I was ahead of the game and I did like a halfway album of the year video for 2021, and I made the cards. I curated the list. It was all prepared, and then like I work full time. Things just kind of escalated, and I also lost interest. Like, it's not that I didn't have the time, it's that it's time I'd rather be spending on other things. So now, like, it's more than a year since I started the halfway script.
You should still release it.
It
When
is
the stars
almost
align,
finished, yeah.
when the stars and the planets align perfectly, you're gonna
It's
drop
at
it.
this point,
That's
it's
what you're
probably going to
saying.
be like within a week or two. I think I'm finally just going to get it out of the way, because I meet people at shows. Like, they either recognize me or will start talking, then they'll recognize the voice every single goddamn time.
They're
It's
asking
like,
the
all
same
right,
question.
yeah. Dude, I was hanging out with the Oxygen Destroyer guy, Lord Kaiju.
Yeah.
He was respectful about it, but yeah. He also has a stake in it because he knows his album's going to be
Were there
on
people who are disrespectful about it?
it.
Were there people
Definitely
who
not
are gonna
disrespectful,
bash your
but
knees in
they're-
with a metal bat if you didn't upload anything?
That would be brutal.
nothing quite that severe that I know of. I feel like if they were going to do that, they wouldn't announce it first, you know? But no, there are
Very
people
careful.
usually once they get drunk. Oh, the other night, wonderful man, but he just kept pounding the drinks. And he was like, dude, like, I'm a musician. Music obviously needs musicians, but it needs people like you. You need to communicate to the people. You need to get the word out there. You're so important. And he was buying me tequila, so I had no problem with it. But that was an interesting encounter.
He was a wise sage. You should have heeded
Yeah,
his
he was.
advice.
He was like a bard.
Yes. He
What
was
was
like he was divining a prophecy.
I think you should just do like a like best heavy metal of the year, but you should just pick a random year. Like, you should pick like 2008 or 2015.
That's actually it's actually not a bad idea at all.
Pick a year that has
Yeah.
not happened yet. Like an AI generated
Here are my
thing.
predictions for best album. of the
Yes.
year.
Bands that don't yet exist. Yes. And then when you put those names out there, people are going to pick those names and pick those albums, and they'll make it
That's
true.
probably true, but then
That's a
you're going to
prophecy.
have
Yes.
multiple ones probably.
It's already so much magic happening. It's
Well, we've
insane.
already got multiples. We've got like
That's
15
true.
disgorges. We've got how many what is it? Pests. We've got
Revenges.
so many pests. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Gonalog, what's your favorite pest?
I really don't. I can't even keep track of like which countries they're from, and I don't remember any of the release names, so I'm just like totally in the dark right now.
That's
I
fine.
know there's one I like. That's as far as I can take you.
Does it have the
The two
skulls on
most
the cover?
popular ones.
He likes pests.
Yeah.
Souls on the cover. Oh, really narrowing it down here.
Yeah.
I think so. Because, you
The
know,
one-
I'm on the Soulseek train, just like I understand all of you are. And sometimes the cover art doesn't come along with that.
You just leave it? You don't ever sort out like your MP3
How could you
library?
accuse us of not paying for the art, not paying for the music of the artists that we listen to?
I buy
I wasn't
CDs of everything.
accusing you.
We didn't
I was
invite you here.
applauding
Put us
you.
on trial. Oh,
Applauding
I
us for
hate
being
artists.
pirates.
so you're in deep just as much as we are. You're deep in the shit just like us.
Oh, yeah, this is all admissible in court.
All right. Well, it seems we're moving on to the questions now, so I think it's only fair that we start now.
I think it's
Don't
about
you
that
agree?
time.
Yeah.
I can start if you
Hold on.
want.
Moving on to
Okay.
the questions. Is that not what we were just doing?
Well,
Oh,
since he asked you about your favorite pets, so I thought, fuck, I might as well. So, for one of my questions, I have: does your sense of humor alienate older viewers? Do you ever get any wayward old folks that somehow find their way to your channel? Some wayward rock and rollers that they don't get it. They don't get the bit. Does
Absolutely,
that ever happen?
but I'm always surprised at how many people, even if they don't fully understand the humor, they still appreciate the video. Like there's some old people that've commented, they're like, "Man, I lived through this scene. Love seeing these albums getting name dropped. I have no idea what the goddamn hell you're talking about, but like, thumbs up, dude." There's really not a lot of like angry or negative confusion. Older people seem to still get down with it, especially if their albums are being like, celebrated. Chris Barnes, of all people, early
Oh.
on, he found the bastardized history of death metal, and that guy has notoriously thin skin.
Oh
He
yeah.
seemed to find it funny. He wrote, "Oh no, he didn't," followed by 3 laughing emojis. So I guess he
Was there
laughed 3 times
was that was that
consecutively.
was there a bit of like a seething beneath the surface there? Because usually when somebody puts 3 laughing emojis, they're not laughing.
It's
Deep
aggressive. He's
deep
a little bit
beneath the
angry.
skin. Yeah, he was angry.
Usually, but I
He
don't know.
watched
Older
that on
people
his
use
phone.
emojis
Oh my
totally
god,
differently.
that's
Hmm.
insane.
I mean,
So
I
would
don't
you?
feel like anybody could really get angry at his content. There's nothing really polarizing about it. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that like
Oh yeah.
it's pretty straightforward.
I disagree. It makes me quite angry. I can't explain why. I just get a feeling in my bones. I just want to break something. It's
You should post
horrible.
There.
vinyl selfies.
Oh goodness
Mm.
gracious, no.
Do you see?
I
Do
like
you see
posting
any?
like my hand holding the vinyl, like uncomfortably, like I'm
Or
gonna
odd
warp
angle.
the record. Yeah,
Or it has like really ominous lighting, so you just feel
yeah.
uneasy while watching it.
Oh, and the best is the feet in the background,
Oh.
just like
Just,
so it's clear
Record
that
on the
you're like
floor.
holding the record
just
like
post-
way above your head.
you might as well just post yourself bending something. Just bending it.
The record
Go all the
submerged
way.
in the bathtub.
Records in the sunlight.
Hydrochloric acid. So have you
To
seen
come
any?
back,
Oh, go on.
I have seen before. I do that pretty often.
That's a good
So-
song. I have seen Clandestine
Who's that?
Blaze. One of the best song ever.
Oh, I never got into them because they're a sketch, right? Yeah, and if I can help it, especially if it's a band I know I'm actually gonna like, I'm like, I'm just not
No.
even gonna dip my toes in there.
They're
But eventually I fall in. Usually,
well, it's Miko, so you already know
I like it.
you already know what it's
Yes, I
connected
liked
to.
the your inclusion of that who's that German old guy when you did on what episode, one of those end of year lists, Spite was on it.
Oh,
And
Spite,
when you
yes.
said Graham Belial's key, that image of that old German guy who's in all the stock photos popped up. I liked that visual accompaniment.
Oh,
There's a
man.
lot of nice visual editing there, as minimal as it is. Speaking of style, have you seen an artistic fingerprint? Have you seen any Goniloc clones popping up?
Not really. I also don't really watch YouTube in general, so if that has happened, I've kind of missed it. I do occasionally see on like Instagram
If you
when
see
somebody's
any,
starting a live.
would you feel a sort of fatherly responsibility for them?
Fatherly. That's weird.
Like you take them under your wing? Would you feel responsible for their creation?
It really depends how they go about it. Somebody actually did reach out to me, and it didn't ever bear fruit. But they said they wanted to do basically a ripoff of the cover art thing. They thought that could go in a lot of different directions, but they liked like progressive rock. Like they wanted to start with King Crimson.
It's such a
And that's
unique
cool.
thing. I mean, it's never been done before. The corrupted cover art thing, I will give you credit for that. That is very unique. But yeah. So if you saw some clones popping up, you wouldn't feel like you created some horrible Frankenstein's monster that's just roaming the world and wreaking havoc now.
As long as they're not like
evil.
straight up
You wouldn't
stealing
send an
jokes
angry
or,
mob
like,
to put it down, carrying pitchforks and torches?
probably not. I mean, I'd need to actually watch the content because that could go in so many different ways. And the same applies to music. It's like I'm just thinking about Mortuary Drape because that's the name of the podcast. No, it's Occult Abyss. It's not called Mortuary Drape. That'd be fucking hard
That
as
would
shit.
be funny.
Mortuary Drape
Just
episode
not even an
3.
homage to a song, just straight up taking the whole name.
I
But
want
somebody's like talking and
I
they're
want
like,
the
oh, what if there
attention
was
of
a
Wildness
Mortuary Drape style band that like kind of did like some of this influence? It might sound cool conceptually, and then you actually listen to it. It could go wrong so many different ways.
Yeah, that's how most bands start off though. Like most good black metal bands start off like kind of ripping off another band's style, and then they kind of grow into their own. That's something I've noticed a bit. So, and with content, I kind of feel the same way. I don't know about you, but it's like they'll start off kind of just ripping off bigger or like more interesting acts, and then
Yeah, that kind of segues into mine. Would you? I don't even know if you've heard of this guy, but have you watched the content of one Seth Zintatch? Because his like comedic timing and sense of humor kind of reminds me of yours, except it's a lot less. It's a lot more shit posty, I guess, for lack of a better word.
I've seen a couple of his videos, and it's only because I get compared to him so many times. Like when I first started out, especially, like all the
I've
comments
seen
were
a
like,
lot.
yeah. So I'd never heard of him previously. The guy that really got me to start off was actually Video Game Donkey. If you're familiar with him.
Oh no!
Yeah, he has like a 5-minute
I wasn't
video.
expecting that answer.
Yeah, it's called The History of Gaming, and he just fucking like wings it and bullshits in a way that you need some familiarity with like the gaming world to actually like get the jokes, but they're still not very deep.
That's what I love about the Bastardized History of series, is that you bastardize it. You still tell the story from beginning to end, but you add so many embellishments to it that really only a person who understands it deeply would get it.
It's like accessible for people who are new, but it also can easily drag in people who like are well read.
Yeah. When I rewatched the Bastardized History of Finnish death metal recently, and having listened, had a lot of Finnish death metal on the brain recently. I rewatched it, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm starting to get it. It's like putting the puzzle pieces together, sort of.
Watching your Bastardized History videos for the first time, I tuned in for the first bit, and something came up, and I joined back in the middle of it, and I was so lost. I was so confused. I didn't get your jokes in the terms of. It's like, did this happen? I don't remember ever hearing about this.
Yes, you're the wayward rock and roller I was mentioning earlier. You're one of those people who's not with it.
I'm not with it.
You have the responsibility where you could just like tell a bunch of bullshit to people and they would still believe you. Like you could make up absolutely fake beef between bands and nobody would be any the wiser. Has that ever crossed your mind? Have you ever been like, I really want, I don't know, like Deicide to beef with.
Because of Bastardized History of, I can't separate the Moomins in Finnish death metal. I just can't. The two are like it's like the foot fetish thing. How your brain makes a connection. They're both inextricably linked now. So now when I listen to like Pertinence or Depravity, I can't stop thinking of Moomins, and it's terrible, and I want to stop.
That's what happened with.
Make that connection to foot fetishes.
Thank you for that. Whatever. Foot fetish is going to be brought up at least once.
That's what happened with Toy Story and Metallica for me. Like I can't. Okay. I literally can't hear One or The Unforgiven without imagining like the scene of Woody and Buzz like fighting in the like in the backseat of a car or something. It is literally linked, and I can't get rid of it. It sucks too because they're such great songs, but like every time I hear it, I just burst out laughing. It's just awful.
what is the origin of that? Because I've seen a lot of your Toy Story memes, but I never really like
We gotta go
understood
way
the
back.
connection.
You
We
gotta go
way back
way
to a
back.
Many-
page,
Let's go
an
way
ancient
back. Let's
page,
do it.
Many
an
accounts
ancient
ago.
page
The
from
page that
ancient
inspired
antediluvian
me.
history
The page that
titled
inspired
Hessian
me.
Jokes.
Aiden was on that page, I think. I
Yes,
don't know if
many of my creations have been featured on that page. Yes.
Yeah, they kind of started off like the whole like this really weird just metal type of humor that is kind of different from most forms of metal humor, where it's like you can just scroll through like r/metal memes, any like metal Reddit, and you can see that like their style is so much different because it's
I
less
haven't-
effort.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say some of the stuff is popping up there now. I was like, whoa, if I saw the slam formers, if I saw that on Armageddon memes, I mean, just tune me
Throwing
out.
hands.
Yeah.
I remember one
Horrible.
of mine did. It was like I think it was like Devourment City, the city of the future, and it was just the Utopia picture that showed up there.
That was on OK Buddy Metal, which is an odder version of metal memes. I'm not entirely sure what it is.
Yeah, those okay buddy subreddits are always like ironic or something.
This is an awful departure.
Yeah.
For my final
This
question,
is such an awful departure.
for my final question, we know that Goniloc is a very learned, well-read man. So, would you consider the Rotrevor Frisbee to be an outward expression of postmodernism?
Ooh.
I never really viewed it like that. I viewed it as them being like dads, and I don't know if they are, but like
It
they
could
definitely
be.
look like dads. Yeah,
That could be
They're
the
like,
answer. I could be overanalyzing it, maybe.
I
There
mean,
you go.
maybe I'm underanalyzing it. You know, maybe it's a
It's-
combination of the two.
It's
Maybe
hyper realism.
It's a postmodern
What it is.
fatherhood.
Nietzsche didn't read.
It belongs
write a
in
book
it.
on
It belongs. It belongs in an art museum, a modern art museum. The
I could bring it to
Frisbee.
one. It wouldn't be in an exhibit, but I can just like leave it in the MoMA.
See,
Leave it
see
in
what
the gift
happens
shop.
to- like leaving baby Jesus on a doorstep. Okay, well that's it for my questions.
Okay. Okay, so you seem quite well read in the subject of Progressivo, the soup brand, right?
Oh,
What
yeah.
is your favorite type of soup?
Anything with lentils, I think, or maybe just straight up tomato, because that's so versatile. You could put like anything.
Whatever
You
you
could
want.
just dip your fingers straight into that bitch, and it's not that weird. I don't think. Like if
No,
you were
it's not
dipping
weird at all.
your fingers into like clam chowder, that's kind of freaky.
You could
Tomato
freeze
soup,
it,
it's
make it a
like-
popsicle.
Yeah,
As a New Englander, I am very experienced in the clam chowder.
oh yeah. So I
Not
take
the-
it you
not the
prefer
di-
the
not the
New
dipping
England
my,
kind.
Not the dipping my fingers in it part though. I'm not that much of a mongoloid, but
You
I
could
don't
do it.
know. Perhaps we shall see.
I think I'd agree on the tomato soup part. But I don't like it when it's like straight red. I like it when it's kind of orange, kind of creamy. That's just kind of random though. My next
No,
one
I know what you
is
mean.
what are 5 projects that you think are the most important, like modern black or death metal bands? I'm talking like specifically formed after 2015. And what do you think are going to be like kind of set the groundwork for like the 2020s?
Huh. That is a tricky question to do straight off the top of my head.
It doesn't have to specifically be 2015, just kind of modern bands, I'd say, within the last decade.
They're older than this, but still, one of the first things to mind is Undergang and pretty much anything
I was
coming
gonna
out
say
of
that.
extremely
came to
rotten
mind for me.
productions. They're like scraping up some very specific death metal sounds from the 90s and sort of revitalizing them and then making them popular again, like styles that never really took off to begin with. And now you have a bunch of, I wouldn't call them clones because that's a little dismissive, but they're worshiping the old school stuff in a way that most people don't. And I think there's a lot of value in that because the old school will always be the blueprint. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
we even still call it metal. No matter how wacky it gets, it's still under this umbrella. So that's not strictly Undergang, but like really anything coming out of that label, I guess.
Yeah,
For death metal, they're
I recognize
humongously
them.
important.
Do you know New Standard Elite?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't really know if you're as big into like brutal death metal, but they're really nice. They have like Gorgasm on them now. They have who else do they have? Bleeding, Balzabub, who kind of they had a lot of hype around 2016. I'm not sure why.
Yeah,
But,
if you were to ask me, I would have given a similar answer. Undergong and Dead Congregation, those
Dead
Dark Descent,
Congregation would
those
be great.
Incanticlones, those horrible Incanticlones, they seem to be setting the tone. For better or for worse.
I don't think it's
Still
like
to
a
be
bad thing
determined.
now.
Yeah, I still like it. I mean, yeah, it's kind of revisionist, sort of. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, what makes Dead Congregation specifically so interesting, I think, is that when people worship incantation, they kind of go straight to Onward to Golgotha, whereas Dead Congregation is on, why am I blanking on the name?
I hear more of
Diabolical
the
Conquest.
Corchado, yeah.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Corchado
Like
album.
that whole, there's a section on, I think it's their EP, and I'm forgetting
The
exactly what
Forsaken
it's
Morning.
called. I wish I had this in front of me right now, but it's like structured in a way where it's like that really like soft musical interlude that's kind of foreboding, and then it drops into just this monster of a song with a very same atmosphere to the Diabolical Conquest one. And I think that has to be a straight up homage.
I'm going to listen to Diabolical Conquest when this is over. Such a good album.
It's the best incantation, I think.
Ooh, that's tough.
We'll see about that.
Any of the first four, that's a solid pick, but it's got to be Conquest for me.
Yeah, I would say my favorite incantation is probably the Forsaken Morning. It's not an album, but I would still say it counts. Like that title track is just one of my favorite riffs of all time. Even the new stuff is good. People kind of sleep on the newer stuff, but I love the Infernal Storm. The bass tone on that is awesome. That 2020 album too.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about
Blasphemy is
that.
actually sick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cover art.
Are we saying that just because Ledney did the art?
Oh my God. I think that was his first time working with computer graphics. You can tell.
You should go back to it. It gives it a nice coldness to it.
He should do that for Pro Fanatica.
Alienating. It would lend very well to a Hava Hedge album, especially the noisier ones. But I don't want to get too into the weeds about that.
Like Man and Jin. Man and Jin is kind of an ugly cover. Okay.
Is that a Hava Hedge album?
Yeah, it is. Or it's an EP, but it's got like, I can't even explain it. He has a Venom cover on it though. It's like, it's 3 minutes of original music and then it's 5 minutes of covers. It's not bad though.
That project got weird. I think it's the third album. I straight up listened to the whole thing thinking like, wow, he got Craig Pillard for the album. But no, he just like changed his vocal style completely. And
I'm not sure
exactly
what happened.
Like Craig Pillard.
Like, I don't know. Because you've got like, I'm actually not sure what I like more. Like either Dethrone the Son of God or like Purple Cloak and the Black Mist probably. It's really tough. I'm not sure. Eric, you have questions, right? I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay. All right. I have a few. Here with my phone here. What is something you've never, or maybe not even just a trend, or maybe an album, something that you've never been able to understand the liking for it?
First thing to mind is Sleep. And I can sympathize with some stoner doom, like Electric Wizard, and it goes pretty goddamn hard. Sleep, I cannot listen to more than like 5 minutes without being bored out of my mind. And there was one time, I really don't smoke like ever, but there was one time I just took a shit ton of edibles, and I was like, okay, if ever there is going to be a time that stoner doom sounds good, now will be the time. And I was listening to Electric Wizard. I was listening to Reverend Bizarre, obviously, isn't stoner doom, but it was hitting in a way it never had before.
Oh
They
yeah.
did
I'm
a
like,
split with
like
Electric
sinking.
Wizard.
Yeah, they've done a lot of splits. It's hard for me to keep track of because I have the compilation, so I don't see it all broken up. But yeah, no, they were out there for a while. So I'm going through all these seminal records that never really did much for me, sinking into the bed, and then sleep comes on, and I made it like 18 minutes, and I had to like cry myself. I would rather listen to nothing. I'd rather waste the rest of the experience than listen to that. What a horrible fucking album. It was Dope Smoker.
Oh,
Jesus
of
Christ.
course.
Like the riff's not even
Does
good.
anybody know anything besides Dope Smoker? That's the question, though.
I
it's
like-
always-
I mean, Sleep's Holy Mountain isn't bad. I think that's like the better one, but what do you
See,
think about
that's what's so confusing though. You say it's not bad, it's all right, and then they're like this massively worshipped band. Like I really don't get what people see in it.
yeah.
I
Okay,
just don't
so
understand stoner doom in general. It's just
Yeah.
an early aesthetic thing in doom metal. It's like, okay, Black Sabbath makes a song called Sweet Leaf. Okay, let's make a genre about it.
weed,
It's kind of
bro.
like it's kind of like it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, what do you think about Asbestos Death and Ohm? Those are
I
kind of Sleep
don't-
side projects.
I don't know the former one. Ohm is pretty cool.
I really like Ohm actually. I wouldn't really consider it metal. I'm not sure why it's on Metal Archives, but like Adviatic Songs, I've never seen that as like a doom album. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the archives are kind of all over the place.
They don't like Black Noise on the archives for some
Oh,
reason.
not at
They don't have a
all.
Hewlebrum, dude.
I was
That
just about to
pisses me
mention that.
off.
I was just about to mention that.
I think they used to have Travis Scott though. Like Travis Scott is more metal than a Hewlebrum.
Well, he copied the Mortuary Drake logo for that one shirt, so
That's fair actually.
Did
gotta
he
give him some
really?
leeway. Yes.
I didn't hear
Yes.
about that. I've heard about a lot.
This was way back
of
in the
different
day,
things.
back in the old ages, back when the Hessian Jokes account was still kicking around. But
Fortunately.
it's neither here nor there.
All right, hail or fail. So the first band that we have on hail or fail is Glass Yalabolis. I think that's how you say it. What do we think about this? This is more
Did
of a
all
collective
right.
thing.
It was
It-
all right.
That's it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have much to say about it. Track number 4 was really good, but no standout songs to me. I'd say
Kinda-
it's just average.
I don't know.
I
It
liked
reminded
the
me-
guitar
oh.
riffs. It kind of sounded like
Denial of God.
somewhat, and that sort of heavy metal, that jaunt to it.
Oh yeah. I enjoyed it quite a bit. The Dungeon Synth track, I think it was track 3, reminded me a lot of like old school Dungeon Synth compared to what most like quote unquote like underground bands are doing nowadays. It's definitely more, I don't know, it's more rooted in old school Dungeon Synth, which I liked.
Mm.
But I don't know, it heavily reminded me of like Denial of God, stuff like that. And that's what I enjoyed so much about it. What do you think, Goniloc?
It started off pretty killer. I gave it a few listens, and I think I'd agree generally with the idea that it's forgettable. Like it's good while you're listening to it. It sounded very much like something you just randomly find on Bandcamp, like just an
Yeah.
album popping up you've never seen
album
before. You
art
give it a
gave me that
listen, you're like,
impression
oh yeah,
too.
yeah, that's cool, and then you never revisit it.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Your album art was very nondescript. To me, it was very pedestrian. It's like, okay, this looks like something you'd see on Bandcamp.
Pedestrian.
I didn't
Yeah.
expect them to be from Russia too. That kind of caught me off guard. I was like, I figured they would probably be from like, Denmark or I don't know.
Nothing
Germany
besides
or
the
something.
fucked up Russian name.
Well, it's not that. It's more so like the sound of the band. So if I was listening to it before I knew
Yeah.
what country they
Yeah,
were
they don't
from,
sound like many Russian bands. I'll give them
not at
that.
all. I'll
I'd
give 'em
listen
that.
to it again. I don't give it a hail. Yeah.
I would
maybe
give
if
it a hail.
pops up.
I would definitely give it a hail.
I
can't
What
give
do
it
you
a
think,
hail
Eric?
just because I don't feel myself ever going back to it. I gotta give this a fail.
Ooh.
That's tough. Okay.
Now, what's his Goniloc think?
I'll give it an unenthusiastic hail.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give it
Okay.
unenthusiastic too.
So here's something that I know is gonna be a lot more like universal. Slutet. Slutet. I think
I thought
that's
it
how
was
you say it.
Slutet.
Slutet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's Swedish, so I wouldn't be
they're
surprised.
Swedish, aren't they? Yeah,
Yep.
Slutet.
Slutet. I like this a lot. I don't know about you guys, but I've known about this project for probably like 6 months because Masticator was like shilling it
I
all
was
over.
just about to say,
Yeah.
every day he's like, yo, check out this thing I got from the guys from Slutet.
And yeah, I was kind of caught off guard because I was just like, these aesthetics. I was like, I don't really get what's going on, but like,
Tiamat with a gun.
yeah,
Isn't that one of their album covers? It's
I
just
think
a
so.
dragon Tiamat with a AK-47 or something.
It's kind of badass.
That looked like a rapper though. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I saw like kind of some krautrock influence. One thing that comes to mind is like Friedhof, not the new
Not-
Friedhof. No,
Well,
the good,
Krautrock.
yes, the krautrock Friedhof.
The first thing that's gonna pop out to you is obviously vocals.
Oh,
I was just about to say it's not controversial to say this is very vocal leading,
centric, yeah.
Mhm.
eccentric.
That's
This is my first time ever listening to them. Ever since ever. I know Steven was shilling them a lot, but I never cared to give them a listen. And oh my god, this is such a beautiful like just EP. This is
yeah.
it's so beautiful. The vocals on this, oh my god, very like I don't know, pleading doesn't seem like the right word to say, but
It gives a sense of urgency.
yeah, just like that.
Mhm.
The-
Yeah.
Kind
Spo-
of like a just like a very early maybe
Swedish
like an
almost.
anarcho punk or maybe some like 80s post punk albums, I guess, kind of.
Oh
the
yeah, I
darker
could see
ones.
like I could see post punk a little bit. It's
Yeah.
just weird. It's definitely it's like some of the weirdest like black metal that I've listened to as of late, but it's not such a diversion where it's like bad. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
It's a hail for me.
it's definitely hell, yeah.
easy hell. I was
What
kind
are
of sad.
What are Goniloc's thoughts? Let's prod his brain on this one.
I actually have a lot to say about this because this one was a
Oh my
fucking journey
goodness.
for me. This
Oh,
was
yeah.
the first one I listened to. This is what stopped me from keeping track of notes mid listen for the first time because I started off saying like this is unfortunately a fail. Like the music's
Oh.
interesting. There's definitely a lot of post punk vibe. The vocals are going off, but it seems like they're doing a completely different thing than anything the instruments are building up to. And it also seems like they're building up to nothing, like there's no thoughtful direction. And I listened to it just like it felt like it was clashing. It was all over the place. And I kind of sat with that and realized that's the point. It's
Yeah.
chaotic in a way that music, like normally when black metal especially is chaotic, they lean into the dissonant sound. Not at all what they're doing here. Like the vocalist sounds like some rambling slam poetry you'd hear in a fucking coffee shop. And I don't know if you guys read the Bandcamp page, but that's pretty much what it says. The description says, musically, I don't fucking know what this is. It's got some psychedelic improvs, some very unorthodox and quite genius vocal work, some electronic undertones, some noisy ambiance, a message of existentialism, all this wrapped up in some sloppy but very authentic and intense black metal-ish music. That's a fucking mouthful. And it's
And
all
it's-
true.
It's true, yeah. It was really good. It's like it's so hard to explain like music, but overall it's just like
Needs whammy bars. Needs solos.
it puts a special like beauty
Morbid
in being
Angel.
aimless. Morbid Angel, Mortuary
Mhm.
Drape, Drowning the Light.
We need some David Vincent vocals on this. Early.
Early. Okay,
I'm-
okay.
I'm not,
You had to
I'm
correct
not poking
yourself.
that bear. I'm not poking that bear again. I'm not saying cover. No. Oh, okay. Next.
So it's a unanimous hail. right?
Oh,
Oh, for
easily.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one is Burn the Crucifix.
Wow, this fucking sucked dick.
You know what?
I figured you'd like this.
I just remembered it, just like as soon as you mentioned it. So it's a fucking fail for me.
Oh, you
Sorry.
don't even have to say it.
Yeah,
This
it
was
doesn't no staying power in my fucking brain. No,
this was my choice. I can't remember where I found it. I think I saw it being sold, the master
You're the
tape
one
being
to
sold
blame
on
for
some
this.
Instagram. Yeah, no, my fault. I found the master tape being sold on some Instagram. It's like, okay, never heard of this. I put it in there. First time listening to it. How the fuck do you have two different people on vocals and not say a word?
It's a fucking rehearsal tape. I don't know why you picked something so like
I don't know.
out
This
of
is-
pocket.
So it's very much my fault.
It feels like it's free improv. Like it reminds me of that one
it's 3 minutes, but it's got 2 tracks.
yeah. It reminds
That
me of
don't
that
make
one
a lick
side
of sense.
project. It was Zaffin. It has Zaffin, Phineas Gloria Day. And the first 2 demos are like free improv black metal, but they sound a lot better than this. The drumming kind of reminds me a bit of Bulldozer, which I'll give them that. The thing that sucks is like it's such missed potential for its time. It's 1992 and Italian. Like
Yeah,
it was literally ripe for being this awesome like primal black metal, but that's not what it was.
where's the weird proggy organ shit and the spooky
Exactly.
atmosphere?
Yeah, where's like
did,
the
did
dark
any of you
endings?
hear their later material? I know they like didn't release that much, but there's more than just a rehearsal tape.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I like the one that
2
wasn't
other ones.
the rehearsal. It's definitely like a lot more well-rounded. But we're just going off of the rehearsal here. So I don't think they're a bad band judging from like their other demo. But this one's a fail for me.
It's a fail for
And
me
and I think
too.
we all got to agree.
Mhm.
No, I don't.
No?
Oh,
This yeah, no.
want to put
It's,
yourself on the line like this?
I
don't
mean,
know if
it's
that's a
it's
good
a
idea.
3-minute rehearsal tape, and I just thought, for 3 minutes, it was good enough.
Good enough.
It's like
Yeah,
the
not as much as what you could expect from a 3-minute rehearsal.
Well, no, it's like shitty in a cool way. Like you dust it off in a record shop and pop it in and be like, oh, okay.
yeah, it's like the
Alright.
the 50
If I dusted
cent
that off in a
saltwater
record
tap you
shop,
get.
paid for it, and then came home and played it and realized it was 3 minutes, I'd be pissed.
Okay, that's fair.
That's all I'm saying. That's
That
all I'm
shouldn't even
saying.
be single-sided. Like they should have like 1/4 of a side. That's what this tape should be.
Yes. Yes. Next.
And Cube.
Floppy disk. That could fit on a
Next
floppy disk.
was the
Friends of Hell.
oh shit, yes.
True.
Yes. This is some heavy rock and doom. This is some hard rock and doom, okay? I'm not too well read with doom, I'll say, but I really enjoyed it, I think.
Those who
That's-
know me well will know I'm pretty much I'm in on the dooms. The name was promising to me because Friends of Hell is my favorite Witchfinder General album. So going into this, I was expecting for want of a better word, rocking aspects of Friends of Hell, the album, to come out onto this, and it was a bit too too much airing on the doom side for me, because Friends of Hell, that had so many, it was such a multifaceted album for a doom album. It had
Yeah.
kind of like the best moments of Pentagram. It would just have some rhythmic variation, but with this it wasn't there. And even some of that stuff, you could hear a lot of variance on the Reverend Bizarre albums. So
Oh yeah.
it kind of sounds like a Reverend Bizarre album, but much more long in the tooth to me. So I'm sorry, I gotta give it a fail. I mean,
Nah.
shit. I like what they're doing. I like what Albert's doing, but yeah.
No, I would give it a hail, honestly. I definitely enjoyed it. Now it's not something I really like, I guess, understand in the context of Doom, but I enjoyed it.
It sounded closer to maybe Candlemass than to Witchfinder
Yeah, I could see
General.
that.
Which whether they're going for any of those is fine, but I don't know. didn't appeal to my sensibilities.
Highlight was the vocals for me, definitely.
Yeah.
The drum,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I can't say anything about this. Doom is not my forte. I mean, I liked it. I think my favorite track off the entire 9 of them was "Into My Coffin." It's the only one.
That's the one that stood out the most to me too.
Yeah, it stood out. Yeah, it's the only one that I was thinking about after listening to it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That
Well, what's
is really
Goniloc think
interesting
about
to me
this?
because
Yeah.
like I worship pretty much everything Albert Witchfinder has done. Reverend Bizarre, one of my all-time favorites. If you guys haven't heard his black metal stuff, like Armanenschaft.
Yeah, I was going to
And,
mention he did have the black
ooh.
metal project.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah. No,
He's-
he's been in
He's
so much shit.
he's
very
heavily in it.
prolific.
In fact, he did on that Electric Wizard split, he did cover was it?
I
A
didn't
Beharit
know that
song.
he did our Man in Shaft.
He did cover in Reverend Bizarre, he did cover a Beharit song.
They have a
From Drawing
Barathrum
Diamond, I can't
cover too.
remember.
That fucking rules. They
A
covered
Verathron. Oh my
yeah, they've covered
goodness.
Beharit, Barathrum, they've covered Burzum. I think they've also done a few others. Obviously, there's like a Saint Vitus and a Pentagram cover, a Judas Priest
is
cover.
this
Those
man
make more
doing?
sense. He also picks the most badass names. Like his name for
Yeah.
one project was Ancient Fisherman. That's just so evocative. Like I don't even know what to visualize.
I
Like
thought
some
you were gonna
Innsmouth
say
shit.
his album names because their farewell
All
album
of
for
them.
Reverend
Yeah,
Bizarre was a good one. So Long Suckers. That's a pretty good attitude. I appreciate that.
He has a really sick goth rock project called The Candles Burning Blue. Like everything about that is just incredible.
I'll
I
have
don't
to
really
check
get down
that
with
out.
too much goth at all.
I'll have to check that
Like
out.
that's incredible. Yeah, it's getting a repress. Like I think it was supposed to have come out, but everything's backed up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, this man has so
3
many good
years.
projects under his belt.
Well, that's
And,
that's Friends of Hell. So next was my pick was the Hag Zissa Hexenbrett split. This one I was very personally invested in because I literally, as I was leaving for the gym, I saw this in my notifications on YouTube, and I was like, "Whoa, Hexenbrett and Hag Zissa doing a split? Those bands, those are like probably some of my 2 favorite Austrian. I believe they're both Austrian bands
Oh, yeah.
going right now. Because like for those who don't know, Hag Zissa is like this really weird black metal band. They're kind of on the earlier first wavy spectrum of the sound, where they've got kind of a bit of a thrash influence, maybe some Master's Hammer roots.
Oh yeah.
The vocals are they're probably some of my favorite.
Oh, they were fantastic. That was my highlight.
And Hexenbrett's like this sort of Malakarpatan-esque, was this Malakarpatan-esque fusion of like early black metal and some weird Merciful Fate styled heavy metal. And unfortunately, Hexenbrett was the side of this split that I was the most excited for, but when I listened to it, I was the most taken aback by the quality of the Hag Zissa side. It was just so good. It was probably some of the best material they've done yet, and I really liked their debut. But when I was listening to the Hexenbrett side, I was very disappointed because it just sounds like any other sort of Satanic War Master style black metal band, where there's the
like average like Finnish black metal.
Yeah, Fen Black, where they're playing the Sargeist sort of Horna style riffs. And it was like, what? I was hoping they were going to do like some sort of just go into some straight up weird rock and roll heavy metal section like they do sometimes on some songs. Like they did that a lot on their debut, but that was nowhere to be found for me. So for the Hag Zissa side, it's definitely a hail, but for the Hexenbrett side, it's unfortunately a fail for me. I don't know what's going on with them. Apparently they've got some like revolving door of band members, and it's all overseen by this one guy who kind of directs the aesthetic direction of the band. They gotta go for like this giallo horror movie-esque aesthetic.
Denial of God again.
I love the art for this split. It's probably the best art I've seen this year, personally.
I think it's definitely unique. I was trying to. No, the just the art.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah, it
talking
kind of
about.
reminds me of maybe Antichrist Draper art, sort of, in
uh
in how weirdly psychedelic it is. But
yeah, I see
yeah.
what you mean. I'm
So
still trying to figure out what she's stabbing.
what did you think of this?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I definitely liked it. It was like the first side was like more that like, kind of doomy psychedelic type stuff.
Hmm.
Earlier you mentioned like Bathroom.
That's what
That's what I
Hags
thought
said.
of. Yep.
Yeah.
And the vocals were just
They
fantastic. They
explicit.
were
It's
absolutely awesome.
they're probably some of my favorite going in right now.
Yeah, one of my favorite
Like
like
the They Ride Along album has some crazy. It's got some good guitar bits, but it's in a similar way to Slutet. It's mostly a vocally driven album,
yeah.
and for that, the vocals seem to carry most of the weight very well, I think.
And then, for side 2 or Hex and Brett, you are kind of right about like the Finnish black metal thing.
I was so disappointed. I was so
it's like
disappointed.
a lot of modern bands try to emulate like the Sargeist stuff like that. I kind of link in Sargeist with like Satanic War Master and stuff because it's kind of the same. You know what I mean? It's different
Yeah.
countries, but like
They have a similar way of playing riffs on the neck of
yes,
the guitar.
spiritually, like
They'll play those those power chords. They'll trim pick those.
oh yeah,
They don't usually play a single note. And it breaks my heart to be saying that Hex and Bread is sounding like any other band because their EP and their debut is probably some of the most unique stuff I've heard. So
yeah.
sucks.
But
So what is Goniloc? What's the Goniloc stance? What's the take on this one?
You covered pretty much everything I wanted to say in terms of influence. I did not know the first band. Hex and Brett was one of those random finds whenever they came out, like 2019,
Actually,
their first demo.
they were put out by Caligari, which
that makes more sense.
they put out
That's
Steon's
probably
band's first album, which I'm not gonna say their name again. I can't
I can't butcher it
force
again.
myself to butcher it, yeah. But their label mates, Hex and Brett and how whatever. So what was your opinion on this?
Oh, actually, I'm looking at the demo now. It was their very first independent, probably just found it on Bandcamp. It was cool at the time, but it's kind of like having a cool conversation with someone in a bar. Then you meet them again 3 years later in the same bar. Like, I have
Yeah.
not thought about this person for one single second
So you weren't
in
really
the time between.
you weren't really struck by Hex and Brett.
Not the first time and not the second time. So, like, they changed their sound. I'm not even disappointed. It's like whatever, either way. Side A was definitely the stronger one. And, side B wasn't bad. It was just inoffensive, I guess. And that's
yeah, it's more
not
the
really-
same.
It's not
Yeah,
even
no.
bad for me. Yeah, it's not even bad. It's just inoffensive compared to what they're doing, especially on
Right.
their debut. It seems like they reached their zenith with what they were trying to do. There was, I mean, whether they're good or not, it's up for debate. But there was nothing that really sounded like them at the time, to me.
So,
And I've been following them
lukewarm
since
praise.
their demo. Yeah, I have some fond memories of it.
Eric,
So that's that. Yeah.
Eric.
Is he still not with us?
I think he's passed.
I
You have to
suppose
call
not.
him John.
I'll have to John Music. Well, I'll have to stand in for him. It's probably a fail from him. So we'll move on.
Paging Dr. John Music.
We'll move
John
on.
Music's not with us. He's not with us. He's
So
busy.
to finish everything
He's
off,
attending to his patients.
we do what we normally do, which is like it's kind of just naming off what you've been listening to recently. You want to start off, Aiden?
Hello.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, Eric's
has
back.
John finished brain surgery?
What?
We just did Hail or Fail.
I missed it.
It's too late. It's too late.
Oh, okay.
Just tell us what you've been
too late.
listening to.
Oh,
The ship has sailed.
Can I plug our friend Zach, Mr. Gorectomy on Instagram? I've mostly just been listening to.
Good guy.
Yes, good
He
guy.
rocks.
Give him a follow on the gram. I've mostly just been listening to his master lifting playlist. good playlist. Lots of good brutal death metal on there. Recommend. Nothing in
There
nothing
you go.
cool.
Nothing in
cool.
particular.
Nothing cool I've been listening to this
For
week.
For the black metal stuff, I've been listening to stuff I usually do, but I've been listening to a lot of, I don't know why, but like the Swedish 90s melodic black metal stuff. But I've
Ooh.
also been listening to that back to, well, I've been listening to that since I started listening to black metal, but I've been listening to it kind of back to back with some Polish bands, some like Temple of Full Moon stuff. And I don't know why, but it kind of sounds very complementary to each other. I just wanted to mention that. But for a death metal, I've been, like I said, I've had that Finnish stuff on the brain lately. I've been listening to lots and lots of Depravity and Impertinence,
Ooh.
member of Immortal Damnation album of so that's
Kind of
that.
an itch that you can't scratch anywhere else. Like for Finnish
No.
death metal.
No, it's very unique. Doesn't sound like anything else. I like it a
Not at
lot.
all. It's not bad. I kind of agree on the Polish thing. Like, if you listen to like,
I forgot. Just Mortem for Peru. I don't know why, but they've been hitting especially hard lately. I've been listening to them for the longest time, but something about them just appeals to me greatly. They're
okay.
they're a metalheads metal death metal band. They're evil.
Oh,
But they still haven't forgotten that rock and roll ethos that all bands must abide by. So that's why I like them. But moving along.
yeah. For Polish stuff, I've been listening to a bit of like Thunderbolt,
Mhm.
kind of only Thunderbolt, a little bit of Graveland though. For death metal, I've been listening to this abstruse Souls of Darkness. It's like Retrivore. Speaking of frisbees,
I'll have to listen to that.
it's really good. Like you start off with this like really pretty synth intro, and you're gonna think it's gonna be like kind of this.
I like
synth,
it when death metal does the pretty synth thing, and then they do the
and then it
evil.
completely changes. It's like the intestine ballism. It's like that one demo. It starts with an E or the E or something.
Energumenos.
Yeah, but that starts off with like the really nice like
Mm.
the traditional Japanese stuff, and then
It's a tale as old
yeah.
as time. The synth intro.
But I've been listening to a lot of Lura too. I think it's the best thing that Unhold has ever done. I'm not a big fan of Absurd really. Lura is like, it's a lot more mature, I guess. I've been listening to a lot of Leviathan as well. Essentially every release, but Video Brolo especially, because that first song on that demo, it's like what bands like Mama Leak are doing, where it's kind of like that. It borders on like trip hop or whatever, but he was doing this like a decade earlier. I just love what he does with the like electronic. I think he's using an E kit. I don't think it's actually a drum machine.
Very interesting.
And that's what I've been listening to.
If we got John Music, Eric with a K's, what he's been listening to lately, his Rolodex. Has he returned to his brain surgery that he must attend to?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
What have you been listening to, John Music?
What?
Have we?
A little bit of music.
A little bit.
Did I not?
Has John Music not been listening to music at all?
I thought we already
Are you a
did
fraud?
this. Did I mishear something? I thought we already. Was my mic off?
Did we already go over him?
I think your mic has been off.
I plugged the Zach's playlist, did I not?
Oh yes, you did.
Okay.
Oh my god, I'm being a fool. I'm the one who needs brain surgery.
We're just pulling your chain.
Dr. John Music, you need to help me, please.
All right, so we have Goniloc now.
I'm short 50 IQ points now. Please move on to Goniloc. Good, Goniloc. What have you been listening to?
Just while you mentioned Leviathan, I have heard a bunch of Leviathan back in the day. Never really clicked for me, but it has been so long that I've just been thinking it's high time I revisit that. So
Oh,
with
absolutely.
the box set of all the demos, especially, I'm just seeing a lot of people like picking and choosing which ones are like even
The
better than
Fable
any full
box set.
length. So yeah, definitely going to revisit that. I've been listening to an insane amount of Necros Christos. For whatever reason, I worship
Have
Mortuary
you
Drape. I
have
knew
you
I would love the
listened
band.
to
Just never
Sigyn,
did.
the
Yeah,
Necros
and
Christos vocalist, other band?
yeah, I don't find it nearly as interesting. That's like strictly in the like early like Necrovore kind of sound, which is good. But you listen to one album, it's like,
Mhm.
all right, I get it.
Yeah.
Necros
You have a
Christos
you have a
all over
similar
the fucking
opinion to
place.
mine on the Necrovore clones,
Yeah, I
is
mean,
what I'm
it's
getting.
just Necrovore is incredible. Early Morbid Angel, incredible. It's
Hmm.
just such a
Played
straightforward
out.
style. Yeah, and
Well,
it
there's
has
only
been
so
done
much
so many
mileage you
different
can get
times.
out of it, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
With
So
Incantation, there's so many styles to pull
yeah,
from with their albums, but yeah. Necrovore, what? A couple demos. That's it.
yeah, it's really just
I
like the
see what you're
general
saying.
sound of the riff.
Yeah.
Riff.
So Necros Christos, just insanity. Been blowing my mind. I haven't bought an expensive tape in a while, and I got their Grave Damnation demo for $21. Nothing like too crazy, but I was hearing it and I was like, I need to feel the weight of this in my palm. I need this to come in the mail. And that's what it's doing right now.
Forgive me if I'm remembering this wrong, but doesn't Necros Christos' vocalist wear a do-rag or some sort of head garment? I
Yeah, I
could have
think it's
sworn
some
I've
like
seen live footage of them and he's wearing some
I
sort
see
of
the do-rag.
do-rag.
I think it's some like spiritual getup from like I don't even know. They pull from so many different
Does the
cultures.
do-rag hold his chakra and his if it leaves his head, does he turn into like a skeleton?
Yeah, he skeletonizes immediately.
A
Nah,
religion that
Mm.
I don't
believes
know.
the
A
yak ever invented
skeleton with
white
a
people.
do rag
He's
would be
held
Turns to
hard to
together by
stone.
pull.
ancient thug sorcery. Per se. Well,
Also, Regina
Oh,
Spektor repressed, no, not even repressed, pressed her first album for the very first time ever. And it came with a whole extra LP of just bootlegs that have never been released before. And they're all
that
pretty
brings me to
fucking
this.
crazy.
What's with this Regina Spektor business I keep seeing about you? You must explain. Do you simply
I
enjoy her music? Is it a
generally, I
tongue-in-cheek thing, or is it
no, 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 no,
what
no.
is?
Everybody thinks that. Everyone is like, oh, haha, you have a Kate Bush
You
poster. That's
must
so funny.
explain.
No, no. I understand that it's funny in contrast to like, ooh, dark,
metal. Yeah.
evil, metal.
Mm.
But
Oh,
no,
look at
guys,
him. He
she
enjoys
is
Regina
a
Spektor.
yeah, she's genuinely my favorite living musical artist in the entire world right now. I think she's just very eclectic, extremely talented. I've seen her twice. She can do an entire show, like a fucking packed audience, just her on the piano and singing. She just has
Wow.
this incredible presence, really well read, and pulls that into her lyrics in really playful ways, but also really sardonic. Like there's a lot of themes going on underneath that have never been confirmed. She worships Ezra Pound. If you've ever read his poems, just like really interesting stuff, but just complete
Hmm.
fucking nonsense. Like I have no idea what he's trying to say. And that's what makes it so interesting, I think.
Well, fair enough. I think we've covered everything. We've covered all of our bases. We've gone from Verathron, we've gone from Mortuary Drape, we've gone from Graveland, and now we're closing it off with our queen, Regina Spektor. Wouldn't you think that's a good place to close us off here?
I think I'm gonna end it on this too. I think that every like person who's severely into metal kind of needs one of those projects, like in art,
Yes.
like like art rock or even pop. I have that. That's like Me Without You for me. Like it's this really like sappy Christian emo band, but it's mostly what I listen to other than metal. And we all need something like that to cling to. Because
Yes.
like it or not, metal can get pretty tiring.
Well, when you use the words cling to, it sounds fucking lame. So
Oh,
I'm not using that terminology. Thank you very much.
what is that for you? That's my question.
I don't know. Probably like like early 80s post-punk, maybe some French cold wave, stuff like that. I mean, it's not metal. I mean, there's some aspects of it that appeal to me the same way
Okay,
some metal music does, but yeah, that's that.
that's solid. Eric, anything?
Oh man, it's mostly what I listened to in middle school, man. It's one I love Teen Suicide the band, any indie bands like that.
You suck.
I know, I'm awful. And fuck, hold on, sorry guys.
I hurt your feelings, didn't I? I'm sorry.